Hey everybody, Jason here. RPGA Day 2019. Day number 30. And today's word is, that's bright. Connection. Today's word is connection. I tried filming this a day or two ago, a couple days ago. It was raining so hard that the sound was terrible, and it was throwing me off throwing my brain off a little bit, and I couldn't get my words out right because I was trying to see. The visibility wasn't so great and everything, but so as you can see, much sunnier and brighter today. Connection. I was talking about originally making a good connection, and actually connections with a lot of stuff actually. And I had a good video going, and it kind of got messed up, and my flow was messed up, and I can't remember my train of thought. But if I recall correctly, I was talking about connection between your characters, connection between your players, including your GM, and connection amongst like the games that you play and things like that. And I think the most important part is connection between your players, including your GM. I just consider GM part of the players when I say players. I think if the players don't have a good connection, the game will suffer. I mean, I know that you can have great games amongst people you just met and things like that. But I mean, if you're playing in I'm considering, like my group, a long-term game, a long-term campaign. Sorry about that light. It's that time of year where the sun isn't quite up as high as it normally is, and at this time of day, and it's right in my face, and it's probably makes it real hard to see me. But like, if your players don't have a great, or at least a good connection, in terms of a long-term group that you've been in, I think things can suffer. Excuse me. Coffee. I think the better connection you have, put it this way, the better connection you have, the better your games could be. And connection always isn't necessarily the best thing either. I play with a group of my four of my closest friends. And that makes it sometimes hard to bring up things that are no good, things that they do that are not good for the table, not good for the group, things that throw us out of the game, like being on your cell phone through 70 to 75% of the game. Not paying attention to what your characters can do, not knowing your character abilities after 3 years, not knowing your dice after 6 to 7 years. And it boils down to a few things. The reality of it is, some people are just not gamers. They show up to have fun with their friends, but they really don't care about the game itself. Although, if you show up to have fun with your friends and you're on your cell phone the whole time, it is what it is. And we've learned to the thing with connection is, you don't want to upset your friends, because you know how certain people are. You can't address certain things because it'll end up causing more of a problem for them than it does for you. And that's your friends. You don't want to do that to your friends. This is one of the few times in their life they could actually get out of the house and not be stuck at home. So if they just want to show up and roll dice every once in a while and swing the sword a little bit here and there and play on Facebook for a couple hours, it is what it is. You can address it, and more than likely, with certain people cause a problem, and with certain people not cause a problem, or you can just accept it for what it is and just accept it and move on and keep playing and have more fun for yourself, which is what we've done. Because if it were someone we didn't care about, then we would not really give a shit about their feelings and be like, look, man, this is distracting and it's annoying, and you got to stop it. But since it's someone we care about and we know that this is one of the few times that they can get out of the house to kind of decompress from their life, even though it's really spent being on their phone, we're like, who cares, man? Let's let him get out of the house and have some fun, and let it be what it is. It doesn't distract us from our game enough to where it stops us from playing. It's just noticeable, and it is what it is. If it became a true problem at the table, like an actual real problem and not just an annoyance, then we would address it. But it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little annoying, and it's like, we're all friends, and we understand what the game table is for some of us. For all of us. It's not the same for all of us. Two of the 4 players take it very seriously. 2 of the 4 players don't take it very seriously because they're not gamers, and that's okay. We know what our connection is as friends, and we understand that, and it doesn't detract from our gaming experience very much at all. A little bit, but not much. If it did, again, it would be addressed. However, the connection between our between our characters, also is, it's in a weird spot right now because some of our characters in our current campaign are newer because we've died. We've had one character. We're level 14 right now, and we've only had one character around survive from level 1 original player. And it's actually worked out really cool for him because he's done a number of things where he's sort of contributed to the downfall of a couple of our characters, inadvertently and unintentionally. And the toll that it's taken on that character psychologically has been interesting to see develop over the course of the past couple years that we've been playing. So that's really interesting, and it has eventually led him to make a few character changes that I don't know if anybody knows about other than maybe me and the GM. So that's been interesting, but connection between your players is important in certain ways. Connection between your characters, depending on your style of game or the type of game you play, may not be very important at all. Although, in some games, it can either make or break the story. If you go out with the intention of playing a game where, say, for example, you're all part of a noble house and you're all from the same family, you're all cousins, brothers, sisters, whatever, and nobody role plays out that family aspect of it or the relationship aspect of it, and you just go about your business making deals and doing combat and this and that. I mean, how fun, what's the purpose of the setup of being from the same house and knowing each other and things like that? So if you have a connection in a game, try to role play it out. Don't just say, oh, such and such character for this other player is playing, me and Bob here, we're gonna play 2 brothers, or we're gonna play 2 sisters, or whatever. Don't just say that and then not have it pop up in gameplay at some point and role play it out. If you role play that connection out, it could be more beneficial to the group because it's, a more dynamic game. It might bring in a lot of plot points that maybe weren't, possible, I guess. Otherwise, if you have a connection from your characters in the past, this character rescued this character from a certain situation, and that's how he became part of our group, our adventuring group. Those things, those connections, not just as a background, but also as a foreground. If you have those things pop up and play and have an active role in the story, that can make everything feel tighter and more involved. So, connection can do a lot of things. And I think that's I think a lot of people get that. I just think a lot of people, at least from my experience anyway, don't follow through with it after talking about it or thinking about it or whatever. And I'm guilty of that too. I'm guilty of the same thing. So that's part of another way that I need to evolve as a player or as a GM. Which it was an evolve yesterday's word. See, there you go. It's all connecting together. See what I did there? I'm surprised my tiny little pea brain could put that together this early in the morning without coffee. But connection's important, and not just for players, but I think connection to your GM also is important. I think if you have a good connection with your GM, he will incorporate elements. Any good GM would do this anyway. However, excuse me, all those geese. If you have a good connection with your GM, he's more likely to keep putting elements of gameplay into the story about your characters and the other characters that draw back into the history of your characters and the wants and desires and needs of your characters, the things you've done, the things you want to do, the things you couldn't do before, and maybe things you've failed at, things you've succeeded at. I think having a good connection with your GM can inform your style of gameplay and can have a very positive effect on how a game is ran. If having a good connection to your GM and your players probably cultivates a style of gameplay that makes everybody feel like they have a place at the table, and that everybody wants to be there, and that they're enjoying themselves, and regardless of what happens in the story, that everybody's having fun, that it's not just about hack and slash, get good treasure, tell the best story, this and that. Just having fun. And if having fun for your group means getting together, rolling dice, and stabbing things, and who gives a fuck about a story, but you guys are laughing and having fun, then that's what matters. If your culture of play, to steal a term from Dark Age of, if your culture of play is not focusing on the game, but focusing on each other and telling stories about your life in general, or just getting together and bitching about your home lives or your work life or whatever, and laughing and making fun, and that's your little free therapy session, then that's fantastic. If that's what you're all there for, then everything's a success. Your connection as friends, your connection as players, connection as characters, all those things are I don't want to say interchangeable. Maybe that is the right word. They're all part of the same thing, I guess, in a way. And the more you can mesh all those things together and successfully and have fun and be happy, then that's what really counts as a gamer. Understanding that some people are gamers and some people are not gamers, and making those things mesh properly and in your game organically is good. Our connection is good enough to where we know who the gamers are and who the gamers aren't. And at the table, it might be a little annoying or whatever, but we can deal with it because we're all adults. We can play our games and have our fun, and then once it's over, we can discuss amongst the gamers. Have our little therapy session there and say, man, it was really annoying so-and-so was on their phone all night, or so-and-so kept grabbing the D12 instead of the D20, or so-and-so never uses evade. They should use evade or uncanny dodge or whatever. So if you know what things are in your group and you know what your connections are, then you should have a pretty good gaming session. You should have a good game group, and I think your gaming career will probably be pretty good. Hopefully be pretty good. I've rambled quite a bit in this, as I usually do, although my previous video that didn't turn out so well because of the rain and the noise was actually turning out to be very good. So that's a good example of my luck. And unfortunately, you guys didn't get to see that other video. I was in a really good train of thought. I was pretty awake, and I was flowing good. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of RPG A Day 2019. Hope you guys leave some comments below about your connections or make some video responses or whatever. Those are always awesome, and I love watching or listening to video responses. I don't get to watch a lot of video work, but I get to listen to a lot of video. But anyway, we will see you guys hopefully tomorrow for the last day of RPG Day 2019. See ya.